Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to the virtual dojo. Nado Sensei will be with us in just a few minutes. Just a few minutes to say hello. Welcome. People are still gathering. Hi, Bob. Everybody wave. Can't wave if you don't have a camera. Or rather, it's more like the tree falling in the forest. If you wave and you don't have a camera, are you actually waving? Or are you just moving your hand? Diana, you have looks like a wrist surgery or something on your, what did you do? Carpal tunnel?
Yes. Can you hear me?
You need to turn off the sound on one of your clients. Diana's got two things open because only one does video and the other one does sound. Well, you're still muted. Okay, we give up. Hi, Danny. Sorry if there was confusion about the time zones. Due to circumstances beyond our control, we had to set our clocks back an hour.
Okay, thanks very much for that help.
And what time is it right now in New Zealand?
3:30.
3:30, 15:30. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
No,
I thought you did well in picking that up, actually, because I saw the time difference. Sorry, it's Mike.
Yeah, all right. Well, I can't help myself.
Oh, well done.
And it's raining here.
Well, that's nice.
Lovely spring rain.
Uh-huh. Hi, Elaine. Oh,
Hi, good to be here.
yeah.
Hey, everybody.
I wish I could share with everybody the sound, but I haven't figured out how. But we have a pair of hoot owls, of great horned owls that sing to each other just about now living in the redwoods behind our house, and they're so haunting.
I'm envious.
Amy, I found a new app you have to have if you don't, called Merlin ID.
Oh, yes, I know of this one. I've used it several times.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know it, it's from the Cornell University Ornithology Lab, and it's like Shazam for birds. You hold up your phone, it uses the microphone, and it identifies the bird. It's astounding.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we should settle down. It's an Aikido class, not a coffee clutch. All right, I think Nado Sensei is going to be with us momentarily. Hello, Roy. Glad to see you. Justin. Good evening, Sensei.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Let me get my notes. Okay. Katja said very definitely that I should mention this is one of my attempts. This is not Katja's work. In fact, she put that initial, can you see that initial down there at the bottom? RN, to say that's a Robert Nadeau thing. It's not a Katja thing. That's okay.
I have to say, Sensei, as someone who's watched your artwork for decades now, this is the first time I've seen you draw anything other than a stick figure. So it's really it's the evolution of you as an artist.
You're making Katja giggle up there. She's gonna.
Good. I'll leave it at that.
Anyway, I thought the holidays are coming, so my gingerbread man it's about time for him, isn't it? Is that not a gingerbread man? Anyway. Okay. I believe everyone's on tonight. Yeah, cool. Okay. So what do we have? Body therapy map. Okay, we'll see what we're going to do with that. Oh, so next week is the 19th. We have class. The following one, the 26th. What is that? Thanksgiving time. That'll be a holiday. So next week, okay. The week after, at Thanksgiving time, take a break. Okay. And that'll bring us into December. And we'll go over that schedule later in December. Okay. Let's see. On tonight's topic, Elaine's going to jump in. Susan will jump in. Justin will jump in. Bob Noah quite likely will jump in. And anyone else who's feels they can help me out here. Okay. Basically, what I wanted to do with this body therapy map, people, it's the same old map. No matter if it's a reservoir map or a DA map or a D map, the manifest universe creation map is the map. Okay, we can describe it in different ways. So that's what I'm doing tonight, give you different examples in ways that may potentially help you to highlight your work, your career work. Okay. Okay, so where I'm going with this is, okay, so we've got a basic physical body. Now we do a soft massage onto that body, okay? And touching that body in a soft, nice manner, there is a response from the body because of that touch. I kind of think of this at my memory of the Esalen massage team, where they were great strokers of the outer, as opposed to being deep inner people. I don't remember the crew as being of that level. So even at this first level of soft touching of the body, you get a response, okay? Yes? Now, as we continue, a deeper massage maybe is an athlete's level, okay? You have sore muscles. Nothing major, but just sore muscles. So the massage is a bit deeper, okay? And they touch you a bit deeper, and from that inner deeper, there is a response back out. So the muscles get freer, you can move a bit better, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so far? Let me check my notes, see where I'm at. Okay, then we move on deeper, deep tissue. Okay, Rolfing, for example, it's a good example of deep tissue. They really dig in there. And one thing they bumped into by going in that deep is they bump into an emotional level, which means they're getting close to an energy level, because there's an emotional energy response often. People being Rolfed often remember childhood angst, and they were hanging on to that. And so they emote oftentimes. So that clues you in that it's a deeper level that they've been touched. Okay, so far? Following, and there's probably some others. I'm not up on all the massage, whatever, body work styles. There's so many these days, but just let me give you a rough outline. If you want to clean it up a bit, if we have time, feel free to do that, but just follow me along here. Then let's say from deeper physical tissue, which responds back out, okay? You start to work a little finer dimensions. So now maybe acupuncture. Or wait, before acupuncture, what about acupressure? Okay, so you're touching certain zones where the energy part is starting to respond. You're touching the muscle, but you're going a little bit deeper. And so you're touching an energy level. Is that an acupressure level? Let's say it is, just to keep me amused, okay? All right. And you get a response. We move on to even finer, we get acupuncture, goes in a bit deeper in energy, taps an energy level, and there is a response from that inner dimensional level of you that responds out. Okay. And there'll be a finer, whatever it be. I always thought in a hospital, when you're recuperating, you got to have color rooms, like with a red ceiling, plastic, so the sunlight can come through, or a green or a blue. And that by then we would know which colors help heal, or vibe with certain body parts. Okay, so maybe if they're all heart surgery patients, there's a certain color that can touch that patient, and inner vibration energy, which shows as a color often on the inner work, responds. Thus, there's a healing reaction. What about a vibrational reaction? I mean, they even know if they play certain music for cows, the cows give more milk, for Christ's sakes. Am I following that pattern? Okay. So what vibration rate would touch certain aspects of the body? Okay. So not just listening to that vibration, that'd be okay, but even partaking in it, where you chant back or hum back at that vibration rate, so that that energy level is kicking back out as a healing format. Okay, so colors would tap an inner finer dimension that kicks back that you touch it and it reacts back. So sound, color, even the old style jewelry, precious stones. I believe precious stones back in the day were considered to be have a healing capability. So let's say I'm not an expert on that, but I think some people have studied it a bit. Where let's say pearls. When you wear pearls, that taps the inner of you that's, let's say, more calm. I'm just making this up. I don't know. Okay. So wear pearls, and there is a touch on your inner finer, kicks back as more calmness. A diamond touches something else, which kicks back. A ruby touches something else, which kicks back. So there's that all those potential therapies, and they could be picked up a bit if you know a certain thing is touching a certain thing, and you get involved. You play with the sense imagination, not imaginary makeup bullshit. Imagination. You notice how I'm moving my hands. Imagination. It's an experiential word for me. It's not foodle doodle. Yeah. To pick up the pace with these things. Did I say anything like that intelligent? Let me check with Noah. He's my check man. Noah, is that okay?
Yes, that's you laid out the map using the healing as an example.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. Who wants to jump in? Let's see. Elaine. Open your mic, Elaine. Jump in here. You there?
Sensei. I'm
Yeah.
here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I can even see you.
Yes.
Whoa. By the way, good job on your Aikido class presentation.
Oh, thank you. I thought that wasn't recorded, but I guess it was.
Well, I saw it in the original.
Oh, you watched.
Everybody after maybe got lost.
Yeah.
I watched you. Yes. Anyway. Okay. So Elaine is involved with Feldenkrais. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Tell us about that. What got you going? Your interest in something there. You had an Aikido background already, so you want to give us a little background there, just a quick.
Very brief. I had been doing Aikido for, let's see, 2000 was the year I was certified to be a Feldenkrais practitioner. And I started Aikido in 77, so it was quite a ways in, you know.
Yeah.
I knew that I was looking for a mode of working with people that was not Aikido, that was something I could do off the mat. And a couple of my students were in a Feldenkrais training and doing sessions with me because they needed someone to practice on. And when I visited the training and saw how the trainers were working with people, what I basically saw was between the trainer who was doing the work and the person who was lying on the table, who was a student in the training at that point, they were completely connected. They were completely connected, and the trainer was there was this beautiful grounded ease in how they were together. And that sold me on it, basically. And I'm someone who did not like massage. I like receiving, but I don't like doing it. It's too much work.
Not your level.
Huh?
Not your level.
Yeah, no, my lineage in a way.
Oh, by the way, people, as we talk, we're not putting any level down.
Yeah.
Okay, so an excellent soft touch thing, they really like that. The audience loved it. The participants there, they loved it. They thought it was great. Okay, if you're an athlete and you're a little bit sore, somebody who works a bit deeper, hey, cool. An athlete says, thank you, thank you. So every level is okay. I just want you to catch the sense of level. So your dimensional passage through the manifest to a much finer level of us, of your beingness. Okay, so not putting anybody down in this conversation. Okay, continue, please. And the way she worded that, this connection she saw with this teacher and his partner, patient, whatever, this connection they had. She's not talking about this physical, he's laying all over the partner saying they're really connected, because she's got a good energy sense. She's already seeing this more of an energy connection or some sharing of space, whatever you want to call that. Okay? Yes. All right.
Right. So what I feel I learned more about how to do is how to align myself, how to prepare myself, how to run the processes and the energies myself so that I can fine tune and have that be reliable. And what seems to happen also, though, is that the people who continue to return for sessions really, they like how they feel about themselves afterwards. So
at what level can you, how they feel about themselves could be, well, my arm is working better. I don't think you mean that level.
Normally not that kind of description even. The descriptions afterwards are, and it's they're not versed in talking about it at all, but they don't say, oh, gee, my arm doesn't hurt anymore. They say things like, I feel taller. I feel more, my feet feel huge. I feel more grounded. Words along those lines. And often, they talk about feeling lighter. But also they have a much more sort of ease about how they're going to be going out in the world after the session. That they come in with problems and they leave feeling like they're lined up and put together in a way that they can carry along and continue. So I'm not necessarily the one who's manipulating them. I'm lining up and feeling where they're ready to put it together themselves.
Yeah.
I'm just guiding so that those flows are there, and they get to enjoy it and do what they want with it. And not everybody gets it. I mean, if someone comes in and they have a sore shoulder and they're stuck on that sore shoulder, they'll just hang on to it. And it may be that somewhere farther down the road, they'll find a way to work with that gets them past that sore shoulder thing. But
there's some dense people out there.
yeah,
And in terms of dimensional improvement work,
Yeah.
you got to know there's some dense people. You're not going to, in whatever you're doing, you're not going to touch everybody. There's some heavy dudes out there.
well,
Mentally, physically, spiritually, they're heavy dudes. So live with it.
so it feels
But you continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, it feels heavier in a way on a lot of levels, because it doesn't get past physical. That that there's this way of always bringing it back to, oh, my shoulder, oh, my foot, and the response is very different than it is for someone who is more open to a bigger experience or a more spread experience or a process of approaching the world in a different way. So it's interesting, that someone would come in with a sore foot and go out feeling like that it's easier to deal with the world. But
Yes.
that's what happens.
The other day, we were talking for a moment, and you mentioned this special group of Feldenkrais people, a group that's been around for 20 years or something, that they communicate with each other. They have a thing going.
Yeah, I'm part of a study group of advanced practitioners, and I've got 21 years in, and I'm one of the newer ones in the group. But it's people who it's an international group that's not very big. It's about 15 people. And we meet every 2 weeks. And a lot of the talk about seeing clients and how we work with them and how we can work with people in trainings to just help them understand what the method is about and what they're doing. It's similar to teaching Aikido. It's because it's a somewhat energy oriented method. I have to kind of talk about that a little carefully because there are practitioners out there who would argue that, but Feldenkrais quite openly talked about how you follow a thread and how you prepare yourself to be with that.
There. Okay, I want to jump in now. Okay, But that's what caught my attention when you said they spend a lot of time talking about how they prepare themselves. I'll use my words, how they settle down before they work with a client, what it is that they do. They're different forms of getting into an inner finer, my words, level of themselves so that they can work better with other people from that level. And that caught my attention. I thought that was very nice.
All of them talk about that.
Yeah.
They all do. The advanced ones all talk that way. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that we're learning as much from them as they are from us. It's really a complete exchange in that way.
I think, yes, thank you. Let's see if I can get a quick story here. There, again, I mentioned before, there was this energy healing school that I was invited to outside of Tokyo. And I was impressed with their work. They had a good sense of energy. Their founder was very good with energy. But following this, they wouldn't let the people practice with each other. These weren't clients, these were practitioners. And even at that level, they would have an exercise that they do with the people to kind of free their own body. And then to check, they would have them put their fingers on their eyes. And if they were settled calm enough, whatever the right word is right here, their eyes wouldn't flicker. If you're still a little bit nervous and you touch your eyes, your eyeballs flicker a bit. So they would use that movement, free swinging movement. And then they check. If it wasn't good enough, they'd continue with freer movement. And then when they were calm enough, then they could work with somebody else. So they had their form of getting to a better level, which they could check with the eye thing and say, okay, this level, good enough. Now you can work with the partner. So anyway, I like that sense. Thank you, Elaine. Let's Susan, let's jump in with Susan. You on, Susan?
She's here, Sensei.
I know she's here. I just don't hear her. I don't see her. Oh, I don't know if we can see her. She's on the road.
Sensei, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good.
Okay. Let me, from my viewpoint, your history, and then you can clean it up a bit. So Susan does the normal physical therapy schooling, okay? The mechanics of how the joints work and whatever. That's her basic schooling. She gets her degree. They pay her to do this, okay? But she has a finer sense of things, so pretty quick, she becomes aware of the energy movement through the system that's finer than the physical thing. So she works at that level with people. She can see things the other practitioners don't see, okay? Then it even continues to where she begins to see or be aware of conflicts, family conflicts, for example, or confusions with society that are throwing them off, throwing off their physical things. And that begins to show after a bit. So from physical to energy to a much finer level of energy, which includes their position in their family and stuff. That's pretty cool. You want to clean that up for me, Susan?
It was actually quite good, Sensei. But yes, my training was very mechanical approach. You know, things work this way and you fix it this way. And I pretty quickly started to see that it didn't all actually work that simply mechanically. And I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years after I started practicing as a physical therapist that I started training Aikido. And that just radically changed how I looked at the body. You know, you were the first person who validated for me energies that I felt. You helped validate, yes, that's real stuff. And so it radically changed how I looked at the body, how I perceived the body, how I perceived clients coming in to see me. and started a quest for understanding what's behind this problem, what's going on at a deeper level.
So the ability, here's a physical problem. The ability of, yes, but you go through that finer dimension. You go through that, even at a finer dimension, and things begin to show. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, things really started to open up when I started understanding that there was this whole system or situation, the family dynamics, the work environment, the whole bigger picture. And I learned how to, I think, open up to that bigger picture in a way that the bigger picture started talking and showing what was relevant.
Yeah, people, there are different forms. You get to a finer level, and it may be visual, could be easy for you. It could be you hear things as if your patient's talking to you, but not verbally, but in your sensing of things, you hear information, just a sense of knowingness about it. So there are different forms at these levels where you have your own, let's say, style that will just naturally show. Yeah, sort of, kind of.
Yeah. You know, for example, I would find myself asking questions that I really didn't know why that question came out of my mouth. But I learned to trust that what came through was relevant and important.
Yeah.
And people would say to me, well, how did you know to ask that question?
Yeah. Yeah, that used to happen to me when I was doing workshops. And I'd say something and I'd be shocked at these words coming out of my mouth. And I could tell by the tone or the style of what I was saying was not my normal way of talking. And it came out of like nowhere, and there it was. But over and over it happened. Somebody would come up to me after the session class and say, man, you were talking to me. So I said, so after a while, I got okay with stuff just gurgling out. But at first it was like, whoa, did I say that? Where'd that come from? So I hear what you're saying there, yeah. And Susan and I are continuing playing with even deeper. So we're even starting to play with dialoguing with self. So you've got a character, and within the character, self, finer level character, energy dimension, finer self that's there. And at a certain point, when we bring up the word domain, it means we're getting out of the heavy manifest into a level where the self is much freed from the confines of the manifest thick matter, and is a little freer. And so we're practicing talking to beings at that level, continuing with a sense of healing work. So continuing with Susan's work, but trying to play at that level. So fairly new at it, but so far so good. Let's see. Justin. Oh, hang on. Susan, was there anything else? Anything we skipped over that's important here?
I think that's good for now. Thank you, Sensei.
Okay. Justin, are you about?
Yeah, Sensei, I'm here. I'm here. Hello.
Hi. So you're an acupuncturist, right?
Yes, that sums it up.
Okay. Are you okay with this pattern that I'm laying out, that, physical, whatever, and deeper, finer energies, and that's a good spot for acupuncture, and certain things happen. You want to? clarify anything there?
I am. I do. I enjoy this a great deal because acupuncture, it fits within the scope of what's called holistic medicine. Holistic meaning the whole person.
Mhm.
We're going to work on the body, emotions, mindset, how a person lines up to a situation, their environment. We can't just pick only one piece because all of the other aspects of a person and what they're lining up to is relevant to some degree or another. Acupuncture I found to be very useful to move energy that's stuck, whether it's giving us feedback in the form of stuck as pain or emotional or being preoccupied, arguing with our spouse, things of that nature. Something that I found particularly interesting, especially since you've been spearheading this dialogue related to the self, is that while we may be at best helpful in moving energy that's stuck on one of these heavier or lighter levels or aspects of a person, it's while relieving symptoms on one hand, it's helping these people to gain somewhat of a clearer access to themselves too. So much like what Elaine and Susan have experienced and stated, people may come in, let's say, with a headache, and while that's being alleviated, they leave feeling a sense of fulfillment, or they have a well-beingness about them. Things in their life are falling into place, right? Yeah, you come in for one thing, but actually beneath the surface, there's so much else going on. And when you can invite themselves to engage more fully with the person and all of its characters, these issues related to stuck whatevers start to unravel, but more of themselves is available. They have a greater capacity for functioning and performing in their lives. And the pains are really secondary. In fact, they start to go away. But like I said, they have a sense of fulfillment that maybe they weren't looking for at first, but sure enough, things are falling into place.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And
so
I was just going to say, and what we're hoping for in doing all of our basic settling, clearing, downtiming, whatever form, breathing, whatever form any of you are going to use, for that part, to disentangle from how wound up we are in the manifest, that unwinding from the heaviness of the manifest coils. We're a better character, therefore a better self that's there, and eventually a self that's so clear from those wrappings. I'm creating the word there, self in the domain. Okay, I didn't create it since they mentioned it to me, but anyway, self in the domain, as being a certain level of clearness, not the end of our trip, people, but a very nice, very important stepping or important place along the way. Okay. And that there, the energy qualities that we're related to, I have my own 4 colors, you have your own, da-da-da-da-da-da. That's why Teacher's a musician and I'm a martial artist. We've got our own mix, and there we are. Okay. That at this level, the balance of our own qualities can begin to naturally balance. Okay, they're only imbalanced because we get tighter and squashed around and we screw it all up. Okay, so a beautiful quality is suddenly a horrible thing indeed. Easy the eye to get to this level. And at that level, they're naturally much better in harmony and can much better manifest. Okay, and by having the fuller of their 4 qualities, the kind of healing that they need will be will naturally happen. If they need to be calmer, let's say, they'll be calmer. If they need to have more juice, they'll be juicier. If they need to have more understanding, they'll have that. Whatever. So to get to a certain level where the truth of our finer nature can begin to happen. Okay. And so we know you guys are on track because they come in with the sore head or the bad shoulder and they leave saying, gee, I feel better with the world. Where the hell did that come from? Inner kicking outward, even though it's not the finest level of inner, right direction, a proper direction. Yes. And we'll just continue with this. Yes. Kind of thing. So say something, Justin. Where are we?
I would say that's very accurate. As these energies or pressures or information is coming into a person, it seems that if the characters are not available or finely tuned enough, the filter or lens that the characters are looking through distort and pressurize that information, so we get symptoms and there's maybe feedback beforehand. But as things do unravel and a person is unwound, so to speak, that the self, which is always connected, becomes more engaged or available. And as you say, these qualities and the aliveness of the self becomes more obvious, although depending on the density, like you earlier mentioned, of a person, they may not catch on to it right away, but it's immediately there.
Yeah. And
immediately.
Oftentimes in cases, your family and friends notice it before the person we're talking about notices it.
Yeah.
But not.
I've mentioned to people, just joking with them, sort of, if you're working with a grounding and rooting and centering a process, at a certain level, you'll be walking down the street and somebody will notice this. You're walking, look at how centered that person is, or these qualities will be evident to strangers who will see you as you present yourself in the world that you're in.
Yeah.
And it'll be obvious that that person's, look how centered or how well they line up to that situation so naturally.
Yeah.
There's an obviousness to it anyway,
Yeah.
as the self in its aliveness becomes more and more accessible, is all. And how beautiful is that?
Yeah. I used to play a game at Esalen on the beginning of a week-long session. So I forget what day, that's Friday. There'd be a bunch of people gathering in our meeting room, and I would come in earlier, or not the last man, but come in earlier. And I try to just be normal. I'd sit there with everybody else. Nobody knew each other, and I'd sit there and damn, they would spot me as being the group leader. It wasn't like I had a picture where it just something was going on where they would spot me. And it happened every time. There was very few people say, oh, you're the group leader? That was kind of rare. And I wasn't trying to put on and say, hey, people, look at me, I'm the leader here or something. I really tried to be normal human. But damn, they would see through that most of them. Yeah. Anyway, something. And that story I tell of that well-known martial artist, and I saw this guy in the airport, and I don't know this guy, but the way he's just walking down. Now, he's not doing weird shit, he's not doing an Aikido thing, or he's not making it, he's just walking down the corridor. And I see him, and he catches my eye. I feel there's something there, and I forgot. I don't know if it was Noah who met me at the airport. I can't remember. And I said, who's that guy? Do you know? And he said, oh, yeah, that's so-and-so, martial artist, well-known name. I thought, oh, okay. See, he had something. And just seeing him walk down there, he wasn't putting on anything. He was just walking, but he had something. And things, yeah. Anyway.
Thank you, Justin.
Okay. Bob, you were mentioning something about Chen Manching, who is very good. Chen Man, we've mentioned his name more than once here on Fridays. Very, very talented, very, very advanced Tai Chi master, top of the line. Doctor, well-known politician, so versed in many areas. So Bob was fortunate enough to hang with him. Bob, you had something about acupuncture?
Yes, he was a very renowned doctor of Chinese medicine, both on the mainland and then when he moved to Taiwan after the war, actually treated the Olympic team when Taiwan used to represent China in the Olympics. And then when I practiced with him in New York, he had a very big medical practice there as well. And what Justin said really fit his approach to practice. He thought a lot of the sort of more superficial isn't quite the right word, but more kind of overt modalities of treatment were beneficial, but he would always go deeper and talk to the person about their lives. And the way he expressed levels of development, kind of like you, Sensei, but he was a Confucian, so he would talk about it in those terms, but talk to people about where they were missing a particular quality in their lives and how, if they could facilitate that, if they could develop that, it would improve their health, but more importantly, it would improve their life. And he always, when he was doing a medical consultation, took that broader perspective.
So, generally speaking, any level you want to work at, fine. Okay, so whether it's basic massage, in this case, basic massage, fine. But some of you will have a draw to there must be more here. And what's drawing you is another dimension, let's keep it simple, inner dimension of you, and your system is saying, I'd like to work from that level, kind of thing. So follow your own pulls, okay? Get a sense of the map, dimension. It's a fairly simple map. Bobby, Robert, Nadeau. It's a map I tried to throw out to you. A 1 by 2 by 3 by, same thing. It's just another way of talking about the map. Okay, physical body, couple of dimensions. Now there's energy body, more than a few dimensions. And then there's astral body and whatever. And then there's this self, freer from all these tight wrappings. And now it's a major step. And we'll continue past that eventually, if you're so called. Just so you know where you are, and if your system nags at you, it may not be anything's wrong. It may be more of a pull. I'd like you to be a little better level of you, is all your system may be saying to you, kind of thing. Okay. I may have mentioned this story, but after high school, I'm working in a factory. Easy money, but quick money. I don't need any training. You just clunk, clunk, clunk with the machine. And kind of getting used to the paycheck, and it's not too hard work. But my system started to react. I'd have fast heartbeats. I'd suddenly get a little dizzy, stuff like that. And it's like, I'm a jock. I'm an athlete. What the hell is this? So I went to a doctor, and he said, what's wrong? I said, a bunch of little things. And already he caught that. He didn't say anything at the time, but he caught the way I said that. And this happened, and then that happened, and this happens. And he said, okay. He did all the normal tests, blood test, eye test. We went through all these tests. But I think he spotted me on moment one. He began to talk to me after all these tests showed nothing about my love life, about my job. And as soon as I mentioned that factory work thing, boom, he had me. His sense of me was, I'm not a factory worker. Okay. All right. I was doing it because it was convenient, but I'm not a factory worker. And my system was reacting, saying, Bobby, you got to get out of here. Okay. So once I caught the drift of what he was saying there, a fantastic insight for an MD doctor. Just he had me from moment one, I'm sure. And then I quit that job and went on to junior college for a bit. Things continued to, I potentially went a little off the top there, got a little crazy because there was still more of a calling. That's when I had to get into meditation. When I got into meditation, then things really began to move along quite well. I had to do more inner work. Okay, so that's my history. I think it fits in here someplace. I don't know. Where the hell are we, people? Where are we? Is this general schematic make sense to you? Anything, if you have a little better sense or insight onto this, any way you might try to pick up the pace on you?
Sensei, this is Sean.
Sean,
yeah. I really resonate with what you were just saying. The sense of like, you know, you were a jock, you were an athlete, you were doing factory work and got to get out of here. And then that sense of like, I don't know, developing a sense of inner life through meditation. I really resonated, and that's how I sort of connected with you, is a sense of ability to notice what you're noticing, and then have a sense of inner vision, which is just a sense of constant noticing, and the popular term embodiment, but sort of like bodies relate to bodies. And then you start communicating at a completely different level. And that's what you were talking about, like that sense of here and now, exuding. It's self-evident. That's what manifest means, I think, is it's self-evident. And I don't know, it's a sense of presence that is you have conviction in. And that conviction is what I don't know, carries through. It has momentum of its own, and you have a more rapport with what's around.
Yeah.
Does that resonate?
Yeah, words like conviction, a little heavy for me at my stage, but
gotcha.
I just know now something's
Okay.
settled. If I settle, there's an energy pool, and boom, I'll have more energy. I don't have to have a conviction about it. Just know it's there. And whatever is available, if I just settle and tap it, it's an inner resource, and I can tap it and it responds outward, which is what we're talking about here with this guy. I've got no questions about it. I know it's there. I know there's more. And so I continue, try to make the trip to there faster, easier, simpler, which it should be. But I don't have, words after a bit like faith. I don't understand those words after a bit, or conviction or something. I don't have to get all wrought up about it. It's, oh yeah, bing bang. Inner settling or something better. And what is it today better? I don't know. Let's see. Easy, settle. It's kind of a vibrancy. I'm hearing the word alive. Okay, and aliveness. Oh, that's a good one at my age. Yes, aliveness. Yes, okay. So this sense of this exuding aliveness through my system at the moment. But I know that's there, and the qualities may change different days, different quality, whatever. I don't need fancy words. You got to have belief. Oh, yeah, on your first week, your first month, sure. But after a while, stop it. It's just here. It's available. Go for it. What's the big deal? Okay. Maybe we put up so many spiritual rules. Those rules keep us from, hey, bing, bang. Okay. I almost didn't get into, I told the story again. I'll tell it again. I almost didn't get into meditation because what little I had read, they inferred you got to be a loving person. Well, ain't no way me at that time was a loving person. Okay. Remember, I want to go out and kill somebody, anybody. But I had this urge to meditate, to withdraw. So I said, well, the hell with that. I don't know anything about that. I'm just going to meditate. Boom. And there it was. It was there. It was there. It was there. So these rules like, no, you got to be loving before you can get into it. Or you got to be a nice guy before you get it. That's all bullshit. Just get into it. And as you get into it, if in your system is a nice guy, it'll begin to show. And if in your system is a loving person, it'll begin to show. Just get into your own system. Okay, so right there at the beginning of that, we could say, trust something will happen. But once you start, I don't need those words anymore. In fact, they may start to interfere if I hang on to those words. Was I a good Catholic today? If I wasn't, I better not try to meditate because God's going to be angry at me. What is that bullshit? So I'm trying to Americanize this, make it the simplicity that it is. Oh, sensei, nado, it's so easy. And I know I'm not picking up the fantastic easiness of it, but I'm working on it. I'm working on the easiness, contradiction in terms. So that's where I'm at. That's where we're at. Where are we, people? What's up? Oh, Lauren mentioned, what's that interview Patrick did with me a couple months ago? You
Yes,
mentioned it.
Yes, Sensei, there's an interview. There's an interview with you that was done by Patrick Cassidy. That's on YouTube, and I told people about it last week, but I'll post the YouTube link in the chat tonight again. It's an hour and 27 minutes of Nado Sensei being asked questions about his very early entry into martial arts and his reason for going to Japan and how he got there and how he came to Hombu Dojo and to his relationship with O-sensei, and some real, to me, very interesting content about the early times of Aikido and how Nado Sensei was there, at a certain particularly seminal age. And so
It's a good time to be at home.
Yes, to be at Hombu in the early 60s. And so I'll put the link up, and everybody's encouraged, but it's almost 90 minutes and you might not all want to take it all at once. So thank you very much.
I'm too hard to take all at once. And there's also a film clip from 20 years ago at a summer camp. It's an 8-minute shot.
I'll put that link up as well.
And Patrick liked that when I said, well, send me a copy because I'm not sure what you're talking about. And I watched it and I thought, oh yeah, that wasn't bad at all. But I thought a certain level of energy level. And I thought that 8-minute presentation, I thought demonstrated that level of energy very well. I was kind of, no great shakes in one sense, it wasn't the deepest, finest. But I thought, not bad, not a bad presentation. So if you got 8 minutes to kill and you get a chance to watch it, and you're an Aikido person, even if you're not, maybe you get something out of it. Yeah. And you get to see Pija Azuke and Kenny Cron Azuke and hana as uke. Anyway, but anybody watch the interview, have any comments, observations, questions? I don't know. Anybody, anything on that? Nobody?
Bob, I'll just say for the non-Aikido people, I
Hmm.
mean, I'd done a little, but I thought it was wonderful. And it doesn't just do the history, it brings you up to what we're doing is, you know, in the here and now as well. And I gotta say, I was very impressed with the interviewer. I thought he did a very good job following up on questions and really
That's
staying
what I'm
on
hearing.
track.
Yeah, I'm hearing his questions were good. Well, yeah. He wants to do another one for now time.
Great, yeah.
I'm not sure. We'll see. I'll listen to what questions he has if I want to get involved, but that's what he's approaching me on now time. Anyway, we'll see. So anything on that?
Sensei, this is Bob. One of the points you made in that interview that I thought was very clear and beneficial, you were talking about, you know, people would say at the time, well, other than O Sensei, who's kind of the second person?
Yeah.
And in a diplomatic way, you said there really wasn't a second person. There was O Sensei and everybody else. And I thought it really summarized in a clear way who O Sensei was.
Yeah, it's a whole different, I don't want to say a whole different level. That doesn't really cover it. Yeah. Yes. Are we finishing early tonight? Where are we? Can I do anything more with the cookie man here? No. So within this system, everything is, your whole universe is within this system. Now, careful, I don't mean within this body here, since I said put it in your body, but there's a sense of the immensity of it. But it's here. It's here. You're in the middle of it. You're in the middle of your own universe. And as you go finer and finer, the truer self is there. The, I don't know, tell me, the pure self. No, it's not quite right. Whatever name you want to put to the soul self. That's all available through here into the finer and the finer and the finer. Okay. And so Sensei, don't go anywhere. Oh, it's up there. It's here into the finer, 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 finer. Okay. And so all this be present, be grounded. That's part of the properness of the interior here-ness. Okay. If you just pick up half of your system, that's where the aware of, and awareness tends to come up higher and sort of stay there. The experience half of that partnership, aware and experiencing aware I am, that the fullness of that is proper. You get one of them and not the other, you'll spin back into heavier. Or if you're in a much finer, you spin back into finer, but you're still spinning back. You'll unfortunately potentially get lost along the way. God forbid, after all this work, we should get lost along the way. Okay, so here and now, inner finer, inner finer, inner finer. Okay. The inner finer is intelligence. So if you bump into a question, you can't quite figure out something, you hang with it. And you sort of ask again and you hang with it. You essentially likes the word soak. you soak at a certain level. And as you soak, it just gets clearer because you're moving into the finer level again. And it'll clarify, it'll get clearer. But it's all available. Our first easy the eye, our first settling, you're on your way. That's it. Now let's keep going. But that's it. You got it. Keep going. Okay. Problem is, as we open up, as we settle deeper into finer, a lot of stuff happens. The energies are a bit stronger, maybe, or there'll be qualities showing that you're not used to, that you've sort of kept out of your system. And so you misunderstand them. I call that the monster theory. It appears like a monster, but when you hang with it and open and hang with it and say, what do you really do? Who are you really? It shows its true nature. Okay. So I tell you stories over and over to try to show that. So mine is kill. I'm going to kill somebody. I got to sit with this. I can't live wanting to kill. I'm going to get into trouble. So I sat with it, and I sat through the redness of it, and I sat through the volcano flavor it was giving, and all of that. And I sat and I settled, and I sat and I settled. Finally got to a pretty fancy level where it was just power. It was just power. That's one of the majors of creation. Had no axe to grind. Didn't want to kill anybody. It was just powerful. Oh, again, one of my first big insights. Jesus said, if wanting to kill anger has that as its bottom line, so to speak, or its better level of itself, wow, what if all the others also have that? Is hate, backtrack, settle with, become love? Is stupidity, backtrack, settled, open, become the intelligence of creation? Whoa. That was one of my first big insights. So in your journey, you're going to bump into a bunch of stuff, but again, it's intelligent. If you hang with it, it clarifies itself. Don't panic, don't freak, don't make a bullshit story. Just hang out, we'll see. Hang out, we'll see. Kind of thing. I'm just killing time here, people. How are you doing? Anything on anything? Or is it an early night tonight? Whatever you want.
Sensei, this is Justin again. I hope this isn't beating a dead horse per se, but I just want to reiterate it. Well, you know, as you were pointing out earlier, a lot of the therapies that we avail ourselves of, they can be great for treating what's happening on the heavier and more energetic parts of who we are. But it's what we do when we're not getting therapy that really makes the difference. What do we do in our lifestyles is where the rubber meets the road, per se. And, you know, once you leave a center, hopefully feeling a sense of fulfillment, and maybe you gain an understanding of what kind of process could be used, hopefully simple and convenient enough, where you can start off the day by accessing a state of being for yourself and maintaining that state of being and availability for throughout the day. And I love to keep my suggestions to anybody that I'm fortunate to work with simple, convenient. As you've pointed out, I also suggest games like how many times today can I refresh or recalibrate myself, or how much room can I make in this situation, or how much earlier can I catch on to the feedback today, kind of thing. That way it's an ever present, it's always on your radar, not waiting until something blindsides you. We should be moving forward and always looking for more availability and a greater capacity in simple, ongoing ways. You know, lifestyle is where it's at. It's an ongoing aliveness. It's constantly happening, unfolding. So how can we stay tuned into it constantly? Best case scenario.
I mean, beginning stages of Aikido, for example, and you catch on to a bit about centering, being more centered. And then if you're really interested, you play with centering during the day. And at first, of course, you'll be centered and something will happen and you lose your center, you come up out, blah, 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 blah. But then you notice that. So you try to get better centered, fuller centered, so that that normal doesn't throw you. We try to help you practice in class. We do a simple move and we play with centering. Say, for example, I'm going to step in and push your shoulder. Here I come. Are you centered? Are you retaining your center? And as the student learns to step back and look pretty centered, we say, good. Now I'm going to come in faster. Okay. And boom, we're coming faster. Lo and behold, he'll retain his center if he's doing well. Good, very good. Now we're going to ask you to do a more intricate movement, not just step back, but step back, gather me up, and help me fall down. And see if he retained his center. And if he does, we pick up the pace. Now we're going to have two guys come at you and see if that throws you off. And of course, at first it does. They lose their center. But with practice, so see, we're just trying to introduce sort of a practice routine so they can retain their inner. Here, I'm calling the inner center, whatever sense you want to have of inner, this inner core, this inner, what was our word last week?
Reservoir.
Reservoir, this body of energies or reservoir, body of water that's available. It's always there. I told Dusty last week, I think, where he said, it's not there. I said, no, Dusty, where did you go? Because it's always here. But if you go out too far, get caught up in the stupidity of the tight line, then no, I can't feel it either. I've got to unwind and set, and boom. There it is. Thank God. There it is again. Kind of thing. I remember when I came back from Japan, like nobody knew what Aikido was really. And I mean, I couldn't open a school really. So I went back to a factory. Worked in the shipping department for a while. And I used to practice, okay? At the job, I practiced. And I remember walking to the bathroom and how I would practice. I would practice with my, in those days, being centered or being in a flow. And just between me and the bathroom and back was a practice. Then when we had a 10-minute coffee break, I guess, now and then, a couple times a day, I'd go hide behind the boxes. We were a shipping department. And I would practice something or other, actually practice one of my energy things. To keep reminding me and to keep developing. So I know it's hard in normal life, but that's where we have to remind ourselves to practice. Do the best you can, kind of thing. Yeah. Put a note on your bedroom door. Center before you leave for work. Anything, or we're going to finish?
Well, Sensei, I'll just jump in and say that when I first came back from Tokyo, having studied Aikido, I worked in the World Trade Center in New York City. And during rush hour, I had to, come down from the building into the basement where hundreds of thousands of people were connecting to their trains and leaving work. And the practice was to move through this ocean of people without hitting anybody and without actually having to stop. And, it was a really good practice in moving so subtly that you didn't hit, and they weren't aware of what was going on. And
you got the practice.
That's right. It was a practice.
I think probably anything can be a practice, no?
Yeah. There was another one, in Tokyo when I was at home. We'd some buddies, we'd go on a train, which was jostling. And could you keep your feet on the ground without holding on to the strap?
Oh, that was one of my majors.
All right.
I would do that, not on the train. I'm sorry, Lauren, that was too easy for me. on the trolley car, the old trolley cars.
Even worse.
Oh,
Yeah.
dong, dong, dong. And that was my practice there, not to grab the strap, but to be grounded enough. Yeah. Sorry, I had to up you on that one.
Well, yeah, and so my other observation I'd like to share is in listening to Elaine and to Susan and to Justin in particular, their patients, their ukes, don't have to understand the theory of acupuncture or how Feldenkrais works or, you know, any of that for them to have the benefit of the balancing of the energy movement, of the unblocking. And I think that when we do Aikido, that Ukemi is a really important part of that, to allow people to go through the motion of the harmony and the process before they understand what's going on. They don't have to understand it. And so I think it was a very interesting aspect that all three of the healers, you know, in their description, people come out feeling better. They don't know why. They don't have to know why. And so thank you all for sharing.
Okay, are we finished?
I'd just like to share, actually. It's Mike from New Zealand. The train and trolley bus thing, yes, ditto. And a great source of, well, I didn't know what it was at the time, but it just felt really great when I was able to achieve that state. And I also did it on small yachts and things, which were even worse.
Without getting seasick?
Yeah, without getting seasick, and just eventually really enjoying this chaos that I was riding through.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to share was that with these sessions with you, I now notice that whenever I come in and I sit in my chair, I am very well aligned in a way that I wouldn't necessarily be sort of slumping into a chair. And it's not something I've specifically done. It's just, that's what I've arrived at as I've sat down, and I maintain it for a fair part of the session, actually. Eventually I get tired and I'm not there right at the moment, but, and yeah, it's just body learns. That's all I wanted to share.
Thank you, Mike.
People, anything important, anything not important, any, you know, bullshit, anything?
Sensei, that's me in the video. This is Elaine.
Yes, Sensei, I have to agree. And
No.
I believe that.
No, did you look at that, Elaine? I'm sorry, wait, no.
It's me.
You're here,
recognize her.
wasn't
I didn't even know
Years
I
ago.
recognized her.
I have to.
A couple people said that was you, and I said, no,
No, it was
I'm
me.
gonna have to look at it again.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people said you, and I said, no, Hana. I don't know. You're not that big. Hana was bigger than you.
I'm not that big in the video. It's me.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, and actually, Tisha and I were kind of having a fun little chat over on the side about those days of, you know, the retreats and living in Marin in the 80s, and, you know, how we like to go to the gym before we went to class. I remember really enjoying for a while going to the gym and working out with weights and then going to class. I just liked it because weights, I mean, it's just a perfect experience of alignment and gravity. And it's very simple, and it has all that, you know, you just line up to it. There's no, the weights don't have personality, that you just line up to them. And then go to Aikido class, where you can access that simplicity within a moving environment.
Yeah.
You know?
So you're already settled and present.
Yeah.
to a fairly good level, and then you go to the Aikido. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Amy just noted that she likes that too.
Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see a few other people with their microphones open, Sensei. I don't know if Steve or Tom have something they want to share.
Well, I was just going to say, I wanted to echo you, Lauren, because as having Elaine and the others on working with the physical, working with the energies in the physical realm, getting balance and releasing, as Justin says, releasing blockages can help us get in touch with our greater sense of self. But for me, my experience, I do acupuncture every 3 weeks. It's almost a practice for me. I really believe in it. One of my very first acupuncture sessions, I had a precognition vision about an occurrence and a visit in Egypt that I had no idea what I was looking at, but it opened me up. And 8 months later, there I was in Luxor, Egypt, in the place where I was having that vision. And that changed my life for the next 5 years. It's almost like getting in touch with that greater sense of self also allows you to see, I don't know, extraordinary vision, extraordinary place in the universe. And so I appreciate having these three.
So in that case, seeing ahead.
Yeah. And I just said, I don't know what I'm looking at, but this is extraordinary. I'm just going to let it sit for a while. And this has happened 2 or 3 times in my life, as a practitioner of acupuncture, as a recipient of acupuncture on a regular basis. But any practice, whether lining up and centering, as Elaine does with the ice, or working somatically, and doing it over a course of time and making a practice of it allows greater extraordinary sensibility. And in some cases, for me, precognition every once in a while. And it's quite extraordinary.
No, God knows the potential of a finer level of self. In your case, self apparently sees some future happenings. Okay. Mm-hmm. Other people, self will highlight something else, but the potential is like, wow, I don't even have a full sense of the potential of self in the domain, even though that's not the end of the journey. A great step along the way, people, a great piece of work. We can get you there better and whatever, great piece of work. And I don't know the potential really, and the variety of people, the variety of potentials we have. I'm working again with Susan on this, with the healing potential of self radiating out through the energy body, social body, physical body to get healing. Okay. I know Chinese delivery tonight.
It was pizza.
We're going to finish. Oh, Kat's going to take care of it.
I think, Sensei, that's the bell.
Okay. Sorry, people. I've got to go get my food. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you, Sensei. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you,
everyone.
Sensei. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Sensei. Thank you, Sensei.
Bye-bye.
And thanks to all you wonderful people.
So long, Mike.